Okay, so it seems like recently we've had a lot of stuff coming in about, the charts and how VTubers are doing overall, which has been very, very great to see as it has been just kind of the end of quarter 1. And we've gotten a lot of the analytics, and obviously the person on screen right now, Ironmouse, has been doing very, very good in a lot of the charts. For example, like the top Twitch female streamers for quarter 1, she actually ends up being the only, I think, yeah, the only VTuber on this list. And yeah, it's actually in second place with 4.52 million watch hours. Obviously losing out to Emaru, who has, obviously also been streaming quite a bit as well. And you can see here, it shows exactly all of the airtime and how much people have been streaming as well. So obviously Emaru at 345 hours, whereas Ironmouse has been streaming for 600 hours, which of course is, yeah, a little bit different, right? But aside from the top Twitch streamer charts, there's also been some more interesting kind of charts as well, more to do with VTubers, which, yeah, we've got to look at right now. For example, the most watched English-speaking VTuber, obviously by stream charts as well. And this one happens quite a lot. And it's been very interesting to see how many of them have been doing so well, right? You know, at the very bottom, we've got Henya, and then it goes Cleo, Mori Calliope, Michi, Zentreya, Admiral Baru, Melako Kyoran, is that how you say it? Koseki Bijo, Vidal, and Ironmouse. So yeah, these are the top English-speaking streamers for watch hours, and Ironmouse got 4.52, as we know. Vidal also doing absolutely amazingly as well with 3 million. Obviously, Neuro Sama absolutely killing it. You know, Bijo doing great too. And again, it really shows how much a lot of people have grown, right? And I know like VTubing tends to not exactly be the top, what do you call it, at the top is what it usually is in terms of analytics and whatever, due to what do you call it, like COVID and stuff going away, etc. But I still think they're doing great, right? And they're taking over pretty massively in terms of the platform. And also I do like they've actually excluded the VTubernPeanut from the list now, which, to be honest, I think it's good, right? I think stream charts have actually made a good change there, because I feel like it does represent the VTubing space much better, and I think the VTuberPeanut can compete with other people within, other categories, right? Just like English-speaking streamers, just in general, right? And of course, there's been some other charts as well, but we also have a like full-on contents page here, which says VTubers Q1 2026. They also put a picture of the VTuberPeanut there, which is interesting. But they say VTubing kicked off 2026 with an upswing of viewership and a record amount of watch time, over 571.9 million hours, 4.7 higher than the previous quarter. This result coincides with the importance of independent creators, especially the VTuberPeanut from the US, who has had as a VTuber, has caused much controversy. Again, very controversial to kind of say, include him in there, right? But yeah, as you guys can see here, this is the watch hours dynamic of VTubers. It seems like it has only been going up recently, with the amount of channels going down, but the viewership going up. So that's actually really positive, right? Sure, maybe you could say the channels going down isn't good, but I do think that obviously it does create a much more competitive space for some people that are sticking with VTubing. And yeah, I think honestly, very, very good, right? 571 million, and you can see it is only going up, and it's not going up due to the fact that there's more channels. In fact, there's actually less channels, which that's why it is so positive, right? They say over 11,400 active VTubers channels were tracked for Q1 2026, while the opening 2026 quarter saw the active number of channels fall slightly. This shift is relatively minor. So yeah, they say Twitch continues to grow as a platform for independent creators. You can see here we have a platform distribution of VTubers channels here. For example, in terms of how many channels are actually on each platform, Twitch has the most channels for VTubers. So Twitch recorded thousands of VTubing creators in Q4 2025. While its community remains strong, the total amount of live creators dipped slightly for 2026. Other platforms held stable with their channels. So yeah, 77% of VTubers are on Twitch, 20% on YouTube, 1% on Kick, 0.5 on Chuzuk, and 0.3 on others. And then also as well, we got it based on watch hours. Who actually watches the most? Well, it seems like YouTube have a lot more in terms of watch hours. It seems like a lot of people are more dedicated in terms of watching for longer. And yeah, so the YouTube, a lot of the streamers tend to be a little bit bigger over there. And obviously that's due to the, help of like hololive. Obviously hololive predominantly, YouTube. Of course, they did do that deal with Twitch recently, but there's also a lot of other agencies that prefer to use YouTube over Twitch. Despite there being more channels on Twitch, there's a lot more smaller VTubers on Twitch, whereas, YouTube and a lot of the corporate VTubers tend to be on YouTube, right? So that's why they've gotten a more amount of watch hours. And they say the platform breakdown for Q1 and VTubing Q1 was largely stable relative to previous quarters, with a couple of exceptions. Firstly, while YouTube Live continues to dominate VTuber viewership, still maintaining a majority of watch hours, this hold on the community is slipping. Twitch, in particular, posted strong growth for the quarter in terms of watch time, meaning it could surpass YouTube in this ranking. Twitch's growth also reflects the popularity of independent and English language creators. So yeah, saying on smaller platforms, Kick and Narva's Chizuk both hosted slightly more creators compared to the industry total this quarter. Chizuk enjoyed a strong boost in viewership too, which sit ahead of its regional competitor Soup in the VTubing scene. So yeah, very cool. So independent VTubers now account for over half of the total viewership. So the Q1 data highlights independent VTubers command over half of the total recorded. So yeah, here is the here's the viewership by agency, which is pretty cool. And I think there's a lot of different changes here, because I'm pretty sure in the last quarter VShojo was still around. So they still had VShojo on there. So obviously all of those VShojo kind of percentages, because they did hold a certain percent. It wasn't too big, but it wasn't like crazy small though. They did hold a percentage, right? And now obviously all of that's been converted into an independent now that they're all independent, right? So you can see by far the biggest kind of, agency by hours watched is actually Niji-sanji over Hololive, which I think is interesting. So yeah, obviously that's pretty cool, right? And obviously I know a lot of people don't like Niji-sanji as much. Maybe some people don't like Hololive as much. I don't know. I don't really care at this point. But obviously, yeah, it's very, very interesting. As in, Niji-sanji solidified their place at the top of the rankings, pulling out significantly ahead of their top competitor, Hololive. Niji-sanji was also the only VTubing agency to record a significant increase for viewership on Q1. VShojo suffered an exodus of creators during mid-2025, which led to a new wave of viewership for these newly independent creators. So yeah, VShojo was a big part as to why independent now accounts for over half of the viewership in VTuber agency proportions, right? So cool, right? Among agencies, the top shares went to Niji-sanji, Hololive, and then previously Hololive was the most dominant VTubing agency by a significant margin. However, more recently, Niji-sanji and Hololive were neck and neck competing for the spot. Now Niji-sanji has officially taken the lead spot from Hololive with a couple of percentage points to spare. This swing reflects Niji-sanji's strong roster performance in collaborative events. Smaller agencies are collectively growing their impact as well. Vispo and Excellers remain crucial heads of the other agencies, while Mythic Talent and Neoporte saw viewership dip slightly. So yeah, obviously that might be due to some people leaving Mythic Talent. It's a top VTubers of Q1. And yeah, of course, we saw this most watched VTubers in terms of watch hours. Yeah. I mean, TheBurntPeanut has 73 million watch hours, which is crazy. But obviously, the next one below that is Kuzuha with 12 million just on YouTube, by the way. And you got to account, like, TheBurntPeanut is using Twitch, YouTube, and Kick and getting that amount of watch hours, whereas all of these are using one platform, apart from Kanai there, who is using Twitch and YouTube, right? So that is something to kind of, I guess, include. Same with popular VTubers too, in terms of based on average viewers. That is also a very big kind of gap. But as I said, 3 platforms compared to Sakuramiko on one. I mean, Sakuramiko is doing absolutely amazingly for one platform, right? And the same goes for a lot of them as well. A lot of other people down here too. But it seems to be heavily dominated by Japanese kind of people. And then here is the graph. Oh, so they've included a graph without Peanut in all of them. So that's good, at least. So yeah, obviously Sakuramiko ended up taking the top spot for that one. And obviously English-speaking VTubers Ironmouse ended up taking the top spot for that one as well, which we already covered. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it seems like VTubing is doing pretty good, despite what a lot of people think. You know, many people, we did discuss in a previous video of, you know, people talking about the fact that VTubing was not as popular as it used to be. I think it was in the Shy Lily video, whenever we were covering, like, people claiming that her sub count was weird and whatever. People, you know, attributed that to the downfall of VTubing, right? And saying that VTubing was becoming less popular. People aren't watching them as much. But I'm going to be honest, these graphics tell me otherwise, right? People are actually watching them more. Now, maybe they're not watching the YouTube videos as much or whatever. Maybe that could be a separate kind of graph. But in terms of live streaming, it's actually more popular than ever, right? Obviously, I'm sure that, you know, previous quarters, it was probably more popular than 571, but it definitely is growing. You know, it's not declining, it's growing. And that's good to see, right? And we want to see more of that. And we want to see the VTubing space being a little bit more healthy. And I think these changes are all healthy changes and all kind of good things to see whenever it comes to a lot of the stats and a lot of the details, right? But yeah, I mean, that is essentially it for a lot of these kind of, you know, stats and things about VTubers. Hopefully you guys did enjoy that video of me just going through and talking about everything to do with how they're doing, how they're performing, and, you know, what is really going on. And yeah, obviously we'll cover the next quarter whenever that comes out, probably in a couple of months' time. But yeah, that's about all I got for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameStop to use my code Kazza, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.